Hey guys, today's video is about a record I've actually known about for a couple of years thanks to the internet, but I've only just now gotten around to actually picking it up. It is Def Beats 1 on Music of Life Records. Music of Life is a UK label, came out in 1987, and it's a UK label and they specialize naturally in UK artists, but what's interesting about this compilation is, as it says here, hardcore hip-hop's fresh out of New York City. So it is mostly New York artists. There does seem to be some UK stuff on here, but that's another thing. But what's compelling about this compilation is that while some of this stuff is your really standard, typical, been around in the 80s, you'd expect to see in a compilation, Dana Dane's Delancey Street, Vicious Rumors Club, etc., is that there's actually some stuff that's exclusive to this compilation. All right, so here on the back cover, we've got the track listing. So let's break it down. Some of the stuff, again, we can write off. We don't really care about. Delancey Street, Spider D. It's kind of a cool, interesting, rarer song. It was just the B-side to one of his singles called B-Boys Don't Fall in Love. The song is called My Life Flash, but it had been released before. So some kind of standard stuff. And also some artists who, frankly, I've never heard before, and who I suspect were perhaps just sort of local UK artists, perhaps already signed to Music of Life. Although at least some of them do sound pretty New York, and I have to say some of them are actually pretty good. The title track, Def Beats, which was possibly made for this compilation, was by a group called Beware Affair. Never heard of them before, but I gotta say, for 1987, it's a pretty tight record.
The stick will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Jeff.
Beats get played through the radio with a sequence of sound motivates every country, state, city, and town. It will keep you alert, make a mad backward, get a fine color, shake it, make a married man work. Some ignore it, but most adore it. It's exhaust through your brain and your feet. Feel the death beat.
The stick will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Endless rocket to the deck of hardcore. The bass drums with motivating the floor. The roaring of a crowd can make a weak heart flutter. This wine doesn't pay to get excited, big stutter.
So what else have we got here? We got Microphone Prince. That had already been released before, and frankly, it's a pretty goofy song. I actually kind of like the instrumental, and Microphone Prince has got kind of a nice flow on this, but the whole thing really hinges on an Abbott and Costello routine, which they just do. They don't even rap. They just stop rapping and just do this routine for like minutes on end, and it really gets long and kind of tiresome and tedious. But overall, it's, I guess, an interesting, almost novelty record from the 80s. The Sparky D track is interesting because I've heard this song, and I've seen it on other compilations, but I've only seen it after this one. I think it might have actually debuted on this one. Spider D, again, had come out before. Perhaps because of that connection, though, they got this exclusive, at the time, Sparky D track, Sparky D in the Place. So you've got Derek B track, which, again, New York? I don't know. It ends with a mega mix by this guy who, I mean, frankly, is just Simon Harris. His name is spelled backwards, so it's like Nimitz, whatever, but it's Simon Harris, and he's the guy who owned the label and who was sort of a big, general music producer and engineer in the 80s. It's kind of interesting mega mix, but it's basically just, clips of the same songs you've heard on the rest of the album. A group called the Blues Brothers, who I've never heard of before. I'm pretty sure it's not Lord Digga's Blues Brothers, but it is produced by Ivan Rodriguez. It's got DJ Doc on there, so I do suspect, again, these unreleased stuff probably did come from New York, at least most of it. And what's really interesting about the Blues Brothers song, again, I've never heard of them, is listen to this sample, and you're going to recognize it right away.
To our supernatural lyric composer, to rap us how we got exposure. In the point, I got point that is blows up in
Oh, shit.
and I'm a winner, not a quitter. Never quit, never quit. So you tell your friend, I told my friend, so you could tell him again. And so on, with Puerto Rican, speaking out of clear, what so many should fear. Don't judge the MC by his race or color.
And what's key about that is that sample, this is 1987. The record you're all familiar with, Cool G Rap, Road to the Riches, 1989. These guys had it first. Now, granted, these guys didn't do, anything compared to what Cool G Rap did with it. I mean, like, lyrically, he blows it away. He really just elevated the whole hip-hop game. I mean, in fact, listen to the two songs and make a comparison. You can really see, why people hold Cool G Rap in such esteem when you compare the two tracks. And Marley Marl, gave some more oomph to the production and the percussion and all that, and it does sound doper there than it does here. But this is still a tight track, and it does make you wonder just who the Blues Brothers were and whatever happened to them, because they probably would have made some more dope records. But anyway, now let's get to the prize, at least to us Father MC stands on this compilation. An exclusive Father MC track called My Beat, and we know it's the same guy. I mean, his voice sounds the same. Timothy Blair, like his name is in the writing credits, so it's absolutely the same Father MC. But again, think about it. 1987, Father MC. Now, Father MC came out on Uptown Records in 1990, and that's when he blew up and he did all big stuff. And I've already blogged about his earlier record, 1989, Father MC and the First Fleet Crew, which up till then had really been, well, certainly was the first Father MC record. So this is 1987, 2 years before that. And where did it come from? I don't know. Again, there was no 12-inch of it or anything. It wasn't released anywhere. It's exclusive to this compilation. And think about it. Big Daddy Kane's first album came out in 1988. This is 1987, Father MC. I mean, let's face it, the narrative that we all know of Father MC is traditionally that, 1990, Father MC came out, Big Daddy Kane already had a number of hit records, had really established an identity, styles, etc., and Father MC really kind of came into this groove and was doing a lot of very similar to not just Big Daddy Kane, he was also using some more of the New Jack Swing kind of stuff and the Uptown sound, that he was signed to and all, but definitely heavily, clearly inspired by Father MC. Most obviously, of course, too, in his name, Father MC, Big Daddy Kane. So now we say, wow, 1987, this predates Big Daddy Kane's first album, and it doesn't necessarily predate Big Daddy Kane's first record. He came out with singles in 1987. He had two singles, Raw and Something Funky to Get Into. So the same year, these guys coexisted. So even then, you can't really say that Father MC is just a huge bite of Big Daddy Kane. He seemed to have been a pretty established, well, not established because this is virtually unknown, but he had existed and was doing his own thing before Big Daddy Kane blew up, and I think that says a lot. Also, why this is compelling is because this is a great freaking song. This is a killer. It's maybe not quite as dope as his First Fleet Crew 12-inch, but it's really hot. It's a little, it's really old school now. I think in 87, so it's got the cowbell in there and all that, but he really comes off as tight as anybody could, on this kind of track.
As I'm respected, well protected, issue I have neglected. My beat you cannot match, no scratch. You're now infected as he turn over power over hour. He's great. Jati Shamel, that is his name. All the third tables my plate. My name is Father Yoda, Huawei, his mouth. Autograph, I'm not enthusing, never losing, but choosing who gets the last laugh. What do you mean? This is my beat, that's what I'm saying. You've been waiting to hear me. Papa is not flaking. You'll turn your volume up, you will be in shock. I'm not from Hollis, Queens. My rock is my rock. And for boys, they make noise. We all chill with the boys. And these who come in my face, I call them all decoys. Don't cut me too hard, I'm good as can be. Put the issues in my mouth, FL means Father MC.
So just where does all this material come from? It seems like maybe Simon Harris had established a connection with Ivan Rodriguez, DJ Doc, something like that, and they gave them some, just a whole bunch of stuff that they had, including what turned out to be a lot of unreleased stuff. I don't know. It does say, look out for Deaf Beats number 2 coming soon. It never did. As far as I know, there is no Deaf Beats 2, only Deaf Beats 1. Music of Life went on to release a whole bunch of compilation albums, including some pretty famous ones, the Hard as Hell series. But this, as far as I know, is the only Deaf Beats one. And again, some tracks on here, Delancey Street's a good song, but there's nothing, it's been released and re-released, and there's no reason to get excited about it appearing on a compilation. But this exclusive stuff is pretty mind-blowing. And I'd love to find out if there's a whole bunch more, like there's a whole bunch more Father MC tracks from 1987 where he's on this style. I'd love to hear all that. More Spider D, Sparky D stuff. There probably is some more stuff in those vaults. So who knows, maybe someday it can actually get unearthed and re-released in the whole limited edition style kind of flow. But until then, this is an awesome compilation. And it's not rare. It can be found pretty cheap. It is UK, so if you're a US head, you'll probably have to get this from an overseas seller, so it won't be that cheap. You have to pay for shipping at least. But this is not rare at all. This was a spammed major label release, and not particularly highly known or collectible. Just so happens to feature some rare, exclusive, crazy stuff.